Yeah, it turns out she's also on the right. There was like two people that are a little bit liberal, but I don't remember who it was. But yeah, mostly they're all not. They're all on the right side, apparently politically. But I think like when I was thinking about it, one of the things I was this is my theory on it. I was listening to a podcast talking about America's Next Top Model. They talked about this guy who did the assessments for America's Next Top Model, and now he does it for lots of shows. He's worked for Survivor, lots of different shows, and he does in his assessment measure. One of the things he's looking for is narcissism. Like he wants them to have narcissism because it helps them feel like they're good enough to be on stage, basically on the scene, on the screen.
Fascinating.
So I was thinking about how the overlap of narcissism and the right side politically could be a part of why. Yeah.
I don't think you're wrong. Shit.
Is there a lot of right side?
Yeah.
Come with us. Let's reality test. Welcome, friends, to Reality Test. What is reality testing, you may ask? Well, it's something we all do when we check our subjective or personal emotions, thoughts, and so forth against objective or fact-based reality. So here in Reality Test, we're going to be testing the castmate realities and the producer antics of our favorite reality TV shows against what we know as licensed psychologists about the reality off of our TVs. We hope you'll join us as we attempt to reality test. That's it. Thanks, y'all. Now check out our campy theme song. Are you feeling stressed? Your head's all messed? Well, let's forget all the rest. Fuck it, we're blessed. Cause it's time to talk reality test. Come with us. Let's reality test.
Welcome to Reality Test. I'm Dr. Ray.
And I'm Dr. Kay. Feel free to check in and take a seat wherever you like. We're going to do another deep dive into the Love is Blind world.
So excited. This has been a hell of a season, and hopefully no spoilers at this point if you're watching this, but the first season where no one got married, like kind of wild.
It truly is. What a season of firsts.
Indeed. Yeah. Just people are saying things about the dating scene in Denver, and who knows, maybe they're right. I look forward to reading those think pieces, or, tell us about them in the chat. We would love to hear more about what the dating scene in Denver is right or is like. But according to what this show has to say, it's rough out there.
And also, it's right on the right politically. So that was a really good Freudian slip. Apparently it's right, but it isn't. I heard mostly it's not. This is a bad representation of it because they are also on the right politically, but it's very blue dot in state. So
wonder what that is all about. The only one who seems more liberal to me was Megan, but then she at the beginning had said she liked traditional gender roles. So I was like,
and she follows Turning Point.
Oh.
Yeah, it turns out she's also on the right. I think who was it that was liberal? There was two people that are a little bit liberal, but I don't remember who it was. But yeah, mostly they're all not. They're all on the right side, apparently politically. But I think when I was thinking about it, one of the things this is my theory on it. I was listening to a podcast talking about America's Next Top Model. They talked about this guy who did the assessments for America's Next Top Model, and now he does it for lots of shows. He's worked for Survivor, he's worked for lots of different shows, and he does in his assessment measure. One of the things he's looking for is narcissism. Like he wants them to have a little bit of narcissism because it helps them feel like they're good enough to be on stage, basically on the scene, on the screen. So I was thinking about how the overlap of narcissism and the right side politically could be a part of why. Yeah.
I don't think you're wrong. Shit.
Is there a lot of right side?
Yeah. I had seen something about this was just as I was scrolling around, but something about how Love is Blind tends to attract more Christian-minded people who tend to be more on the right. But I think your analysis is a little more, gets maybe straight at the heart of the matter. I kind of buy what you're saying a little more than that.
Both, yeah, totally. I could totally see both. That's true. Because there are also some towns, I bet, that are less Christian. I feel like sometimes it's also geographically where they are overlaps well with Christian or Christianity. I wonder what Boston will be like.
Yeah.
Because they have the Irish Catholic overlap in Boston.
It's true. So it could still happen.
And they certainly have some narcissism there too.
Yeah.
So we shall see. Yeah, it's interesting. So I think between those two things, it certainly would make a lot of sense. They'd attract more people who are on the right politically And I think apparently like a lot of reality dating shows do. Like if you think about The Bachelor, that attracts a lot of people on the right side, even though the audience is much more mixed and even maybe more liberal leaning than it seems based on who's on the show. But then, yeah, I don't know. It's interesting to think about.
Yeah, very interesting. Well, speaking of
So we'll be
interesting,
deep dive.
what? Yeah,
So we'll be deep diving into that.
yes.
But tell me.
Before that, I want to hear about what article you brought in today.
Absolutely. Yes. Like this, we've restructured. We're going to start with our studies and then do a quick check-in. So my study today is actually my student's study that she presented at a conference today. So I'm going to share about that. Post a highlight because it's interesting and I think it'll be of interest to you. So it is in the world of sports psychology. And the idea is a proposal of a study because it's a dissertation proposal, but she's going to be looking at the psychological patriarchal psychology, the psychological patriarchy that is involved in athletes and the sports arena because of the way that we sort of cheer on sports athletes with sort of like get it or like fight the fight or like get out there and get them or whatever. There's sort of like a patriarchal language that we use in sports that's very hegemonically masculine, so like pushing masculine norms. And so first of all, like women in the sport world are really encouraged to be more masculine in general because of that. But then also her argument is that sort of psychological patriarchy is also creating some of the disparities in health, like things like suicide and sexual assault and dominance. Like those kind of things are further perpetuated by that need for like exceptionalism and masculine dominance. Versus if you talk about like play and collaboration, it could be a totally different outcome. And so in that way, the idea is that we're working towards eventually being able to queer language and like queer the language to be more feminine and also so we're hoping to move towards that. And also today at the conference there's a woman who was talking to us about it and she started to leave and she goes fight the fight and we like thought she was being ironic, so we're like yeah like haha that's funny, and then she came back like all ashamed. She's like I didn't even realize I did that. She's like I'm so embarrassed. We're like it was so funny because it's like that's how ingrained it is. Even though she was excited about our idea and like fully in it, she still couldn't help but say something that was patriarchal and dominance oriented. And I love that example. I think fight the fight is a great example. It's a really good like militaristic, psychologically patriarchal concept. So
language. To love that she like took the time to come back and check in and be like, oh, I did the thing. Like, I think that's really like lovely.
I was like, you didn't even have to do that. That was so good of you. Thank you. Like, that was really nice. That's nice for us. It's a really cool example that I like gave future people that came to talk to us about it and stuff too. So it was a good example of it. It's just so ingrained in us.
Truly is. Oh, I'm so excited as someone who's also on this person's proposal. I'm excited to see where this comes and where it goes, and yeah, kind of what comes from it is what I was trying to say, and how we can queer language. Yes, what comes, all the things, and how we can kind of think about the patriarchy differently, because gosh, is it everywhere, and how we speak. I use a lot of sayings, and I'm sure I need to rethink half of them. So I look forward to going on this journey with you all.
I love that. Love that. It is funny. It's a good thought exercise. Like, what do you say instead? Like, how do you like cheer on your kids in sports by being like, go have fun with each other, like take care of each other. You know, it's like, but we do we say like just have fun, or you know, some of it we do, but it's gonna be fun to think about like what would you say that's supportive but collaborative and playful instead of
kill them or whatever. Like people say some weird shit out there, and it's not great. Do your best. I like do your best. I've always liked do your best in sports. That always comforted me because I was like, as long as I do my best, like that's really all anyone can ask for.
Truly. Just get out there and have fun and do your best. And in my study that I did for the episode that I did a solo dolo, the whole point of the study was that this woman found that if you say, I am excited, not when you're feeling nervous, if you just say to yourself, I'm excited, you perform better. So same thing for the kiddos. You can say like, just say you're excited, go out there and have fun. You'll do well.
You'll do your best. Bring it into reality.
Exactly. What was your study?
So mine was about women's relative resources and couples' gender balance and financial decision making. This is by Klisment and Van Bavel. And essentially what this study shows is that when women make less than men have more financial decision making power. The reverse is not necessarily true. When women make more than men still have like a good amount of decision-making power, certainly more than women do in the reverse situation. And then I forget what it says if it's equal, but I think it says that maybe men have a little more decision-making power, which is pretty much like no doubt research. But I was just thinking about what is out there on gender roles and, financial disparities, especially with the class difference we saw with Sparkle Megan and Jordan, and how that kind of played out in real time. I was just interested what the literature has to say about this. And in my very limited search, I didn't find too much, but I maybe didn't find the right terms yet. But yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting.
That's super interesting. Yeah, I really appreciate that. Actually, that's good to think about because being doctors, we both have the potential of being in relationships where we do make more, and that's an interesting dynamic to think about. And then I also think the other thing is that Meg didn't want, I think Jordan didn't want her to pay for him. Like, he didn't want to go do those things because he didn't want her to pay for him. And I feel like that's a really common dynamic too. It's like men don't want the woman to pay for them to do certain things. Like, it makes them feel emasculated, I guess, is the idea. But it's sort of interesting that the reverse isn't true. So then that's another, this opens up another reason for that. It's like they want to have financial dominant, like the decision-making dominance. And so if you're paying for them to do a thing you want to do, but not only are they not the ones paying for it, they're also not the ones making the decisions for the money.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I think that, and then Jordan, instead of I think he in theory loved that she was an independent woman and saw this as his leveling up, if you will. But then in practice, he was stubborn about it and actually resented her lifestyle instead of kind of enjoying it with her, which I think is truly all she was asking for. Well, that's not all she was asking for. We'll get into that, but that was a thing she was asking for.
Totally. And yes, he's a hands-on dad. And also some of those trips don't need to be a whole week before you see your kid again. He's splitting time with his ex-lady friend. So therefore they could even if he has him every weekend, he could be gone for a Monday, Tuesday, or
Totally.
There's a way to kind of, he kind of was all in or all out, sort of I can't do any of it.
Mm-hmm. Very black and white in how he saw that near the end. But
I would second this. Want to parlay it into your gym?
Yes, I am glad to be feeling better. I got the norovirus this week. It was really gnarly for 24 hours. I'm not drinking alcohol, which any longtime listeners will know I normally do when we pod. Poor me. So hard drinking tea. I'm not back to coffee yet, but it was gnarly for 24 hours. And I hate getting sick. Feel like I get sick more as I age. Maybe I'm traveling more. I don't know what it is, but yeah, but it was a good trip that I had. The neurovirus was hard, but then what I really appreciated about it is when you start to feel better, you really appreciate what better feels like. It's a very nice, oh. So I've just been appreciating feeling more sharp today and a little more well. So it's been nice. Yeah.
The book that I was pulling some of those studies from about happiness, when I was saying the intentional activities, but about or something, they were talking about this book by this guy from Harvard on happiness, and he talks about the fact that we typically are happy in reaction, when we're we get sick, we feel better because we're not sick anymore, so comparatively. And so he's we need to do better at recognizing what we have in front of us in between, so I've been trying to challenge myself to do that lately, and sometimes I do it anyway. The things where I stop and look at the sunset, I'm such that nerd, and I try to teach my bonus daughter about that too. It's just pull over and look at the sunset sometimes, or take pictures, or what, but it is that's more so the area where I'm already doing it. But yeah, remembering that thank goodness I don't have to vomit right now, or I don't have to cough. My lungs feel fine, which I keep appreciating that too.
Yeah. I do feel like you're better at that than most. I feel like you are good at taking in moments. And it's humbling to know that even you have work to do, because I see you as someone who's pretty good at it. And yet I guess we're all on a journey with appreciating things.
Totally. That's very nice. So thank you. That makes me feel good. You know,
Yeah.
also said like about pictures, this is my other real journey, is that he was like, taking pictures does help if you only take like one and you don't take it right away. So like basically he's like, if you take a minute to take in what you're looking at first in person and then take like one good picture and then like enough, you know? And then he's like, and then you also have to like bring back that picture, like print it out. So I told my husband that I'm going to get a big bulletin board that takes up a whole wall. And I'm just going to start printing pictures and putting them up on the bulletin board. That's my plan for appreciating moments more. So.
I love that. That's good because I take a lot of, we haven't even like started to go through our wedding photos. Like what the fuck?
Yeah.
We should.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Yeah. We never printed anything with ours either. Like my mom gave us a wedding book of pictures that like wouldn't be the ones I would choose per se, but they were good. But yeah, so we still never did our own. So we need to do. It's so true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Appreciate our pictures more.
Totally.
My check-in is just that I did the conference today. So that's where the study came from. My student, she did a beautiful job. Her first, person that came up and asked a question, she sort of like fumbled through it, which you do, first poster, first presentation you do, but then from then on was like smooth like butter, and was so into it. It was so cool. There were a lot of people that came to our poster too, which was cool in the room. So it felt good for her and her idea and also her ability to talk about it, elevator talk. So yeah, it was fun.
Yay. That's wonderful. Very exciting.
Okay, so deep dive. Let me see first. We are psychologists, psychotherapists, but we are not your psychotherapists. We have some clients that listen to. Not true for you, but I will also say that we are going to talk about diagnoses, maybe like adjacent, or talk about things that we talk about in our psychology world. We're both professors, so there are things we talk about regularly, but we're not actually diagnosing them because we'd have to have an in-depth psychological assessment with them to be able to do that. So
basically, we're going to go in order of breakups except for Nick and Annie. Why don't we just do that first? Because no. Yeah, they were after Madison Joe, so we'll do them second.
Perfect.
Why don't you start with Madison Joe?
So, my thoughts on Madison and Joe. First of all, Joe's self-image is way off. I think he maybe said he was like a golden retriever boyfriend, and I actually found him to be quite mean. It was clear that he was not attracted to Madison. But he has watched the show enough to know that he doesn't want to come off as like the bad guy. He knows enough to know what not to do. Right. And it seems like it was like a sizeism issue. We could see the meanness and the way he treated like Jordan and the other guys. He never really directed it at Madison, but you could kind of feel it under the surface. And unfortunately, I think he would be like, maybe he is a golden retriever boyfriend if he perceives the person he's with to be of his caliber or whatever.
Better.
Yeah, or better. But yeah, he just unfortunately had sizeism. And he even like when they were breaking up was like saying things like, I don't know if we would have gotten to know each other. And I'm like, you're such a dick. Like, I just can't with you. And yet he was confusing her because he was still having sex with her. So maybe he has internalized shame about the fact that he likes women in bigger bodies. I don't fucking know what's going on with him.
Right.
But
she's
I don't
like bigger. Like she's like not even big. I mean, the thing is like cameras add weight and like, but she's not big. You know what I mean? Like she's not plus size model. She's she's like still smaller than plus size. I think she's probably bigger than what he was used to because he dated itty bitty, but like I kind of was like, and she's hot and she's gorgeous. Right. So like
she's gorgeous. Yeah, I'm sure he wants like a size 0 blonde, short, like
Casey, whom he dated, by the way. So we're gonna find that out on the reunion, but he dated Casey too, which like of course he did.
Of course he did. Of course those two found each other. And it's like, don't go on this show if you actually have very specific tastes in what you're into. Like you are just not going to be successful.
Nope.
And Madison, my take on her, she was insecure in the relationship. There were times when when they were drinking and she was like giving him the third degree where I was like, this is only going to go poorly. Right. Like I saw some emotional immaturity in some of her actions, certainly. And it's like hard to judge her because when you're with someone who's not like giving you what you need, you're going to act in ways that are like not congruent with who you are. I think we really saw her shine when she was with Joe's family and she felt more at ease and they all were like obsessed with her. And then he was a little more into her for a minute. But yeah, I feel for her. I wish her well. She deserves so much better than she got with him. So that's my take on them, but I'm curious to hear yours.
Yes, definitely. I would support that with additional details of like, I felt like he was a bro, like a frat boy, like how he was with Jordan at the bar, was like more flirting than he ever did with Madison, you know? And
Yeah.
then, and it also was like the whole drinking thing was like so defensive, but also felt like trauma being triggered of a sort, like the way that he was when she came back into the room and he was like, and I did this for the trauma for the deep dive episode too, but this is something I didn't say there, but only did a little bit. Anyway, point being, so he came back into the room, and when she woke him up, there were like two things that he like did defensively. Like one was that suddenly he was denying that he drank too much. Like that went the complete. He was like, no, I don't think so. Mm-mm. So like clearly he's been given shit about his drinking before and has gotten in trouble with it. Whether that's like through his parents or a previous girlfriend, my thought is his previous girlfriend or somebody like that. And then the other type of thing that got triggered was him being like, why are you all dressed up? Where were you? Like, which felt so much like he's been cheated on or something, you know, like he was like reacting to her as having maybe cheated on him, even though like, you know, he like didn't remember that they were there together. But still, it just felt like so like guttural. And so like I think he was pretty awful to her in that scene, like when he was then in the bathroom like laughing at her and sort of like just like like, you know, just sort of like, wow, what are you around? He's like, wow, I just fucking woke up, okay? Like, I don't know. He just sort of was like being like, and it was driving her, it was like making her crazy to be like, we just had this conversation. And then she like goes and cries and like hopes he'll come and take care of her. And that was what you and I talked about that day where we were like, it's like Brian, you know, it's like if you're with somebody who doesn't see that like when you're crying, the move should be you go comfort them. Then you're like kind of with someone like Brian, essentially was what we said. But so Joe's kind of like that too. You know, it's too emotionally immature. He doesn't like see that. He was annoyed. He heard her crying and he goes like this, you know, like he was like annoyed with her. And it was just so sad. And then the other thing I think he never was on board with was her disability. Like when she said that about how she was going to be going blind at some point, his face just like dropped in the pods. He like wanted basically none of it. And then when her mom brought it up in the family time, he literally was like, that didn't change anything about my feelings. That's what she's fucking asking. She didn't ask him to change it better fucking not have changed your feelings about it. But like that should be a given. What they're asking is if you're ready to take on caretaking, which is a different fucking conversation. He didn't even like think that, you know, he just was like, oh, it didn't change my feelings. Obviously it did. So like there's that. You shouldn't even have to say that. So that shows that it did change your feelings. And then second of all, like it's a much bigger question than that. But I feel like that was like he was out when that happened because it's not a perfect, you know, model anymore, you know, because she's even if she wasn't skinny blonde, I feel like it changed it for him because it wasn't the like perfect picture he apparently has about what he thinks he's worth and who he should be with. It's just like so that was a real fucking bummer. I also felt like that was tragedy in terms of him not being what he thinks he is in terms of that, and then also being pretty terrible to people. The other thing about Madison, yeah, I agree. I think she's just not had a ton of dating experience. I think that she's just like kind of early in that. You could tell her parents were like, her mom and her sister were like jazzed that she was with somebody. You know, it seems like she's had a hard time maybe meeting someone who like really can meet her where she's at. And so yeah, I think she was like really all in on him, including like you said about the sex thing, because she said the sex was like so fucking good. So yeah. I can see that having made her particularly attached as well. So she did seem really hurt. I felt badly for her. Okay, so also details from a podcast she did. They actually broke up the night before. So they had already broken up, which I thought during that scene, I was like, this seems like they had already had this conversation. And they had the night before. And it was still mean. He was still a fucking dick, you know, even though they had the conversation already. And then the other thing is he did date Casey, but then he also like went out for drinks one time with Madison and then kissed her at the end of the night and started tearing up.
Wow. So he's got some weird shit. I totally agree with everything you said. The only thing where I agree that he was a dick when he woke up. I perceived it as like blackout behavior. Like I perceived him in that moment as just blackout drunk and kind of confused and probably having trauma responses. I think my counter transference there is people in my life who I've seen blackout drunk. It like reminded, I'm like, he's just confused right now. So like you having big emotions, he doesn't even really know what he's saying was kind of my read on it. But he might not have been.
I think so like him being like, what are you wearing? Like, so like, I think no matter what that shows, like I agree. He was like in a trauma responding, like just waking up. Like when he's like, I'm just waking up. Haven't you ever woken up? Like I believe that was what was happening. He was waking up and he was confused. but he still was like, it shows that his blackout state is like kind of mean, you know, like, because the way that he was just sort of like, like snapping at her, like, you know, just he was so dismissive, like, oh, women kind of a thing. He even said woman at one point, you know, I think so. Even though I totally agree it could be blackout and it probably was blackout behavior, it shows that that like is a dick. That part is dick, you know,
Yeah.
so I feel like that was him being a dick to her.
Yeah, he is an asshole and probably gets both of our testosterone award, maybe.
Yeah,
or
yeah. I think about casually divorce different people, individual people, you know, if they had my testosterone. Well, he didn't have my biggest one though. He was on my list, and the sad thing is it goes to 3 people. So he's a try winner of my testosterone award. He can also get protest this mess because he was drunkest.
Yeah, that was pretty messy, actually. I would agree with that one. Yeah, I'll protest his mess. But,
what about Nick and Annie? You had a lot to say to Nick and Annie, so I'm excited. Tell me what you thought about them. She also might get.
Yeah. Oh, she's testosterone, actually. Her things about the LGBTQ community were disgusting. I don't really have many thoughts on her. I kind of felt sorry for her because I think she was in a relationship that wasn't going to work. I think she's probably a black and white thinker, and she's very into being Christian, and there is nothing wrong with that. But saying that people being queer is just a fad or a phase is horribly offensive, and I didn't like it. And for me, Nick, I mean, he brought this up in the show, so you know, I am going to mention it. And I saw, because I looked up something like, is Nick LGBTQ? And I saw a Reddit post that was like, depressed as a teen, like very superficial, and kind of his check boxes about what he wants for women. Seems to have a lot of thoughts on men's appearances. Literally said size queen at one point. I don't know. He might be queer. There might be some internalized homophobia there. Also someone who's super high achieving to maybe not have to feel things. Like he's done a lot of marathons. I don't know. I feel for the guy. I don't think I think because maybe his emotions didn't seem as in it. When Annie showed a lot of emotions, it kind of gave him the ick, which isn't really fair to her. And by the way, he might not be queer. I don't fucking know. But he at least has some like soul searching to do, because the cast seemed to think that he was very inauthentic.
Yeah, exactly.
Annie, I hope she genuinely grows from, I think she's probably going to get a lot of backlash from what she said. Maybe she won't. Maybe she'll double down. I have no idea. I don't know her.
Already had, I thought you meant maybe she won't have a backlash. I was like, I think she already has. Yeah, exactly. Maybe she won't learn from it. Yeah.
Yeah, but we'll see. But that's my thoughts on them. But my partner was
bring it up. I hope they bring it up in the fucking reunion.
Yeah, I do too. They honestly better.
Yeah. It's one of those things. It's one of those things they fucking better. Oh God, I really hope they do, because we've seen the preview now, and they really don't even really see her there really very much. But yeah, I hope they go there, because that's one of those things where it's like hands down, like fuck that. Because if you think about last season with that couple, I forget their names, I don't really care, but they were having the same conversation, but not the same conversation at all. And she was pro LGBTQ plus, and he was anti, and so they brought that in. They brought that into the reunion, so they can do that here. They should do that here.
They absolutely should. But do you have any additional thoughts?
Because,
oh yeah,
sorry,
go ahead. No, I was going to ask if you had any thoughts on them too.
Oh yeah. But the last thought about the reunion is like, especially because they apparently make a big thing about how Casey fucked or dated Joe. So like, if you're making a big thing about something we all know because it's in the social media world, then you can at least bring up the fucking thing that was more intensely fucked up and homophobic and heterosexist, disturbing, bigoted, and washed over. So, no. Love that. Definitely agree. I think, yeah, he's like a bit of an asshole in terms of like he would say some things like in even with the men. And I actually think he was nicer to the men than he was to any of the women. But like, even when he was trying to be nice to the men, there was some things where he said where I was like, whoa, like it's so rude. Like, what is happening? So I think he just like doesn't know. Like, I don't know if that's like a social cues thing, or like if he is repressed gay, like maybe then he missed a lot of opportunities for socializing in his youth because he was sort of like working hard to come across as straight. Like there's something like that could be happening, but he's missing some cues for sure socially. And then yeah, the flat affect part could also be repression as well. But definitely is there. I would say I was impressed that he just sort of was like firm about it. He's like, no, I'm not going to do this with you. Like, we are done. Instead of the sort of like wishy washy stuff. Like Joe couldn't even bring himself to do it. Madison had to be like, are we doing this or not? And he was like, yeah, you're right, we're not. Yeah.
Howard.
I didn't like it. And Annie,
Mhm.
wasted. And I like, there were moments where she was like talking to him and she's saying like, I love you more than you love me, but do you really love me? I think she was blacking out during that
Yeah,
because there were also moments where she would say like, she was just like, it's so dumb, so dumb. Like, and I think that was like an aside to herself about something completely different. And he's like, what's dumb? And she's like, just how much I love you. Like, sort of
it
like,
was
there's like
weird.
moments where it's like, these are not connecting. And I don't think she realizes she just said that, like, similar to repeating whatever the fuck else whoever else was repeating. But yeah, it's like basically the same. Oh right, Madison finding that Joe's repeating himself. It just felt very disconnected, and I just didn't understand how Nick didn't like just let it go. Like, just she's
Right.
drunk, like, just be like, listen, I hear you, I don't think you mean any of this, you're drunk, so like, let's talk about it tomorrow. I'm gonna eat my chalupa, we'll talk about it.
Good night.
It's different in the morning. Granted, she probably still has that same deep insecurity about being loved more than she loves, or as much as she loves someone else, but it definitely was like, I didn't think again, social cues, you know what I mean? It's like, at this point, dude, just stop the conversation. Like, move on. It's
Yeah,
not going to go anywhere at this point.
it's circular. It's a circular drunk talk sort of moment. Yeah. And I could feel her because I feel like she recognized that she could be negative and she saw that he didn't like that. So then she was trying to be like this positive person and it didn't feel authentic. And I felt bad for her.
I know. Yeah, just within that conversation, she was like, but I'm here. Let's just have fun. But then she's like, but I hate, like, da, da, da. Exactly. She's trying to like switch positions. And I think just like Madison and just like Chelsea in that season with what's his face that I also don't like, that these women know that they're not actually that person's cup of tea, and so then they like immediately from get are sort of like always second position, like always trying to get their attention and their love, and but like always sort of knew that they weren't going to be good enough. In their minds, it's good enough. In my mind, it's like they're better than them, frankly. But
Right.
and they're thinking I'm never going to be good enough because this person already is kind of showing them that he doesn't like them that much, and it can maybe come across as like they're playing it cool, but it's not. It's that they're like slightly just don't like you from start, and so like they end up feeling that, wording that's true, and then having insecurity that like bubbles up, and then that becomes the thing that they can blame for why they're dumping them, even though that's not even really what it was. It's like, actually that was your fault.
Mm-hmm. That was
Yeah, it feels
you.
like the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Just over and over again.
Mm.
Absolutely. Oh, well, let's see who's next. We've got KB and Edmond. I look forward to hearing your thoughts on those two.
Yay. Who's for Alli Anton? I don't know if you remember.
Oh, I'm sorry. Whoops. Yes, Alli and Anton. I'm sorry. I missed up the order. Let's do them first. Sure.
No worries at all. Yeah, they were an interesting one. I do think, like, with him, it's not that he drinks, it's that he lies about it that I find disturbing and worrisome. The fact that, like, literally she's like, what about the half of tequila bottle? And he literally got up and looked in the fridge. Like, just sit your ass down. It's not in there. He didn't, if you watch the timing too, literally as soon as he opens the door, he's like, nope, not in here. It's like, you didn't even actually, like, look, if you're going to go, Jesus. So I just think that it sketches me out. The like lying about whether his friend's in place. Like, no way did you go meet your friend in the lobby and bring drinks downstairs. Obviously, he was up here.
It was weird. It was an evolving lie. It was like,
It's so
you.
weird and just like so unnecessary. And I think so to me, it was sort of like, I don't know. I hear like he's Russian, of course, he's like prone to drink more. And like, I get that it's disturbing that it's in the morning and he used to drink alone. Like, I get that. And also, I sort of feel like that's not the biggest issue. It's like, I think the issue is that he was lying to her already. And so I get her concerns. And I think, yeah, she's like, I don't mind that she's like a little bit high maintenance. He said high maintenance. I'm not even sure that's the right word. I think she just like knows what she wants and she doesn't want to cook or clean. And I feel that. So I think, yeah, they weren't a good fit, but I think they both did love each other. Like, I think they genuinely did love each other. I just think that it wasn't really a good fit ultimately.
I think she had good judgment. Yeah, I think his drinking, the fact that he lied about it, I totally agree, is a huge problem. I also don't think he's very good at expressing his emotions, probably because he just uses alcohol to cope with his emotions. And so maybe he hasn't developed the skills to communicate how he feels or what's going on. And I don't know, but it really, you could see
How has he modeled it too? Like, who's done it for him? Like he has no, where's his dad? I don't know what the deal is with his dad, but like who's ever shown him how men should express themselves? I bet he doesn't have a model for that. But yeah, sorry.
Right. And he just wants to make everything okay because, pretty much just that. I think he just wants to smooth over things. And so that's what he does. And I think it was really disturbing to Alli. You could see her turn when the strip club thing came up, even though I didn't think that was a big deal, to be honest. I'm like, whatever. But the drinking is.
Yeah.
The strip club to me is not that
lying
deep.
about it.
Yeah, he lied about it. That's it too.
The lying. Yeah, it's the lying for me. I think even the drinking, I could see that being like a thing that we can talk about or shift or whatever. Like, I don't think saying you can go a week without drinking is very impressive, but I think like it's something we can talk about or whatever. Whereas like getting upset that he goes to strip clubs like with his friend. I mean, there are some states where like that's the norm. It's like going to the club. You know what I mean? Like in Florida, like everybody goes to strip club. It's just like it's not. To me, it's not that deep. I just like, for sure, I totally agree with you that it's not that deep. And I think that she could have maybe looked into maybe trying to go with him at some point or whatever, or not. And then maybe he wouldn't need to go anymore because he wouldn't be single anymore. The point is he was single. So like, he can't, even though like drinking, he's single and alone and isolated. Like, what is he going to do? I don't know. It's sort of like, again, like I'm not like forgiving alcoholism, I suppose. I kind of am. I think it's sort of the thing where it's like, I can't blame him in some ways. I think that's not fair to blame him for something that if he does have a drinking problem is a problem. It's like, that's not, it's not like he, whatever. But the fact he's lying about it makes it way more concerning because then we're in a totally different place. So yeah.
Well said. I think that's all we have on Alli and Anton, really.
I was pretty shocked. I was pretty shocked to know. I thought the way that she was talking about him prior to the walking down the aisle was like, she's like making forgivenesses for him and and she was talking to his siblings or whatever the fuck and stuff. But I was like, damn, okay, she might say yes. And then she said no, and I was like, oh, okay, get it.
The flip, the turnaround.
She was a dick about it. She was like, you're not who I met in the pause. Boom. And I walked off. I was like, damn.
After you were just a lot of gymnast. Maybe she just wanted her moment, like her TV moment. I don't know. Yeah.
No bonus if they walk down the aisle. So
yeah. Shit.
Now we're on to KB and Edmond, and I'm glad that we're starting with you on this because you had a really great point early on that totally tracks the rest of the season and is deeply problematic.
It really is quite disturbing. Watching the finale, I felt really disturbed by it. I think we talked about this in the last episode, but I'll just summarize again. KB is a social worker who works with youth in the foster system. When she found out that Edmond was in the foster system, she lit up and kind of took on this mother, it's okay, baby, sort of role with him that, he played into and I think he liked. And I think subconsciously both of them were liking that. What is concerning to me is the ways in which she was maybe using her, it feels like a position of power. I know it's not actually an ethical issue, but it feels like she's aware of his vulnerability in some way and that she, a part of her is using it. And we see him, he's quite childlike, which Dr. Kay, as you've talked about a lot, people often, the age at which their trauma occurred is kind of developmentally more how they act. And we see that with him. And then we see the mother issues come up when we meet his mom, right? And he's so nervous. He's so nervous. And, we can see, yeah. Huh?
And she's kind of a dick.
Yeah, she's a complicated woman for sure. You can see everything kind of right there.
She wants KB to be able to talk trash about Edmond and not tell Edmond that they're talking trash about him.
And then was like, you'll be the only one of my daughter-in-laws. That it was a lot, actually.
It was too much. And also, right, she's very Mother Ring on the other hand, using her power with Edmond too. And then also the other person that you're hitting on there too is also his teacher, also very mom. She literally said, you can call me mom.
Mm-hmm. It was a little bit of, what's that movie? The something side or whatever, where the teacher, the blind side, it was giving the blind side. I didn't love it. But yeah, and then she was saying, KB was saying be a man at certain points. And I was like, how dare you, after the dynamic you've set up, expect this of him? And then to see her with all of her family, right, after she says no to him at the altar, and to see him with not that much of a support system, I felt mad at her. I felt mad at the show because I don't know. It just didn't feel right. He seems like a really well-meaning person, and I don't think KB was kind to him. And I think she subconsciously, I don't think she did this consciously, but I think that she brought about his vulnerabilities in a way that wasn't good for him, in my opinion. That's what I saw. But I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I think the power dynamic was palpable, and it puts her in like a savior position that also like in some ways makes it in both that she was like using it to her advantage sometimes, but then also that it like actually makes it hard for her to break up with him too. Like it makes it hard for her to like intentionally hurt him. Because it's like, you know, if you're in the power position and you do that, it just feels particularly cruel, you know? And so I think that made it hard for her to break up with him when she did actually do it. But then also it meant that they got that far and they shouldn't have gotten that far, you know?
No.
But I think she just couldn't, I mean, she wouldn't have sex with him because he's like a child to her. It's like, she can't do that, you know? So like she knew early on. And I also felt like to your point about producers, and maybe this can get our producers antics board, because I think also like, I think they wanted them to be together. Like, I think they wanted those two to be a match because it's like, who else would really work with him? And he's like so fun and energetic, and I bet they had so much fun interviewing him and like wanted him to like do, you know, be on the show and do well. And a lot of people do still really like him and think he's really fun. And I do think he's extremely childlike anyway, but I think that was brought out even more in his dynamic with KB. um I actually also gave him my testosterone award as number one because of his views towards sex that were deeply archaic and problematic. I don't think she did a great job describing him either, like her point to him, but essentially like he thought her wanting to wait to have sex meant that he was losing compared to like the one night stand men whom she gave it to after one day. Whereas like her point is like, you're winning by not, you know, by us waiting, because then that means I care more and it means more to me. Um, and then, you know, I also think that when she's saying that and he's this critical breakdown into like, you're telling me I'm too nice, he's like clearly has some like images of himself as, it's actually really dark. Like he has images of himself as being, if he's too nice, then that means that if he was harder on her or harsher with her, that then he'd get to have sex with her. So like that means if you're thinking that the problem is that you're too nice, you're saying that like if I made her, she would have sex with me. Like that is dark. That is really, really dark. And I feel like that's archaic and masculinized. And so then the idea that he cried about not getting to have sex with her, I'm like, thank God he cried. You know, it's like, could have been worse. He could get more dominant in response to that. So I think like, I'm glad that he cried, but it is again a childlike thing. But like also he's saying like he wished he could be harder on her so that she would have sex with him. And like, that's so bad. And again, like not his fault. It's internalized masculinity norms, you know? And so I think he got my testosterone award to say like, he just is living patriarchy norms. And also like basically all the men were.
Yeah.
So they kind of all got like a joint testosterone award.
In that moment too, I saw someone who was like not well, you know, like it just, and that to me was like, first of all, very problematic, and like the winning and the sex, it was all weird, but also his reaction, just, he didn't seem like he was doing great, which also just did it. It just it didn't feel good. Watching them date did not feel good.
Right. I mean, he shouldn't have been on the show. I mean, he has complex trauma.
Right.
Period.
Thank you.
Yes. People like with people with foster care should be able to go on the show, but they should also have done a lot of healing, a lot of therapy. Like he just is so raw, you know, and so his complex trauma is like right at the surface. And I think anybody who's been adopted, been in foster care, been in it, like that automatically sets them up to have complex trauma because there's an attachment trauma associated with that loss in childhood where they're always going to be wondering, why wasn't I good enough for my parents to stay around or keep me around? And so no matter what, he's already in a dark position, which is why, like, difficult position, which is why I think that, like, not that those folks can't be on the show, but like they should be more tuned into whether those folks are ready to be on the show. You know, it's like they do psychological testing with the castmates and check out whether they have the sort of stability, like, you know, mental health stability to be able to handle being on TV and having their lives dissected. So like, where was that? Why wasn't that picking up on his like deep complex trauma? That like, I think complex trauma should be one of the things that like rules people out, you know?
Yeah, it was not kind to put him through all that. It was not a nice thing to do. No one deserves to be dumped like that, but he in particular, with just the way in which it all came to happen, it just felt it felt really bad. Ugh, I didn't like it.
It was sad. I thought she was trying to hang with him through that, though. Like, I thought she was sort of like, she was grabbing his hand. She sort of like, talk to me, talk to me. I mean, obviously it was the social worker parent role, but I thought that she was hanging with him actually pretty appropriately. But then when he says, like, he has that little bit of a moment. And so then to like revert back to her, he says, like, I'm just stuck on the fact that you've had one night stands. And I just was like, oh no.
Ugh.
And like, I wish she hadn't like gone with it because she did. She like gave him that because she like got upset about it. I just was like, no, like it just sucks. But then I was so proud of her for being like, okay, conversation over. I was like, yes, good. Just
I'm good.
This isn't going anywhere good.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So there were moments where she was firm, and I appreciated it. Like I liked when she was like, I'm gonna tell you my story. You're gonna listen. And I was like, she's saying a lot of things there that like a lot of us feel and don't do a good job of voicing. Like the idea that like you're not gonna like have all this time for yourself and not respect that you're taking my time for me to do this emotional labor or for me to literally go get, westernized clothing or whatever. Or like you're not gonna like tell me that you can't that I'm not allowed to talk about it, but you are, you can't like start a conversation and be like, we're not talking about it here.
Absolutely. Yeah, she did have like a lot of moments of things she did really well. And there were times when he was being totally a dick. I think I struggle with how they got together and what was being enacted there. And I hope that she'll grow from that. And I hope that he'll grow too, because he has a lot of growth to do as well.
He needs to stop dating projects. I mean, like she
Yes.
brought up that he was he had potential, and she's like, I've seen potential before, and I broke my heart. It's like, right, exactly. Stop picking at projects.
Right.
It's like it's not too much work for you. It's not going to be good for anybody. But then also, it's really unhealthy for them if you're in the power position already from jump.
Yeah. I think she liked to feel needed at first, but then when it seems like it turned and she was like, I need a man. I need you to be a man. And it's like, well, that's not what you that's not what was happening here before.
Exactly. I think she hoped he'd be both, right? Like that there would be ways that she had to parent him, but that he'd also have times where he was the stronger one. Like I think we all look for a mix. Like we don't want to always be the down one. We don't want to always be the up one, but like we want a like we can both dominate in different contexts. And I think he just never showed that other side with her. I think he did actually somewhat. And so like she was like, oh, it's there, but then it was like not really enough, or like it wasn't often or much. He was like really leaning into the down one position with her. So I think then she just was like, nope, this is like the last time or whatever.
We're good here.
I think there's also something like racist about like our racist culture in terms of our controlling image around the mammy, or like women that are like the mom figure within Black women culture, that like we have all reified as like a version of Black women that's like, okay, it's like one that we all accept. And so it does push them into that role more than a lot of other people. And I think that happens a lot with their relationships with anybody.
And maybe in like this weird, predominantly white environment too, those pressures feel there more. Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
Oh, a lot there.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, I really liked that there was a lot happening there, but you're right. Like all of the things that were good about what she said and all the things that were touching about him, it was just in the wrong context. It's like, those are all great and lovely, but like not there, like not like that.
I think your point about the producers, I agree with. I didn't know how to articulate it. So when you just said it, I was like, thank you. Like Edmond maybe should not have been on the show. I don't think it was a good choice. He's a lovely person, but I don't think he needed all that in his orbit.
No, probably not. I'm not sure what would have worked. Like maybe it is something like a competition show, but like a gentle one, like a competition cooking show, or like like something that's like not too intense. Because I think he has a right to try to go on a show, and everyone has the right to get to know him, but just not that way.
Yeah. It seems like what you said about therapy, I agree with. Like maybe he just hasn't gone through enough therapy to where he would be ready to be on a show like that. If he had gone through more therapy, maybe it could have gone really well or really differently.
Yeah. Some healing to them.
Indeed.
Okay, last couple. Megan and
Yay! Sparkle, Megan, and Jordan. This is a juicy. I'm really excited to hear your thoughts about this couple. I just feel like you might have a lot of insights for a lot of reasons, being both that you've lost your dad and you are a stepmom. So I was thinking, I was like, I really would like to hear Dr.s Kay's thoughts on all of these things, because my goodness.
It's so true. Yeah, I just since we're about the dad thing, because I wasn't gonna say anything about that, but that's a good point.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
We can totally
that's not what I
take
meant.
that out.
No, that's not what I meant. I meant like,
Okay.
I'm glad you brought that up because I didn't even think about that. So I thought about that since you brought it up, because I just hadn't thought about that in this context. But I'm glad you did, because I want to say that when she said like, I feel like it's a sign that he has a kid with diabetes and my dad had diabetes, I get that. Like I get that feeling. I'm sort of like, is that a message, or it's sort of that idea of like cosmic, connections, and it does make you see things and sort of wonder if there's a connection there, and I should be listening to that. I definitely was trying to say to her, like, no, but like, I also didn't like, I just didn't think they were ever a good match ever at all. Like, I just was like, no. Mm-mm. And part of it was that I thought he was too boring for her. And I think that proved to be true. I also think he was right too. And I would give him my testimonial award because I appreciated what he said to camera. And he's like, no, like, really what it is that like, I have a kid. Or like, really, he said, I don't have enough money. It wasn't even really the kid, it's like, he said, I don't have enough money. And then he said, I regret introducing her to my kid, which is the other piece. And I totally get that. And I think there was like a little bit of selfishness there from her that like, if she'd really thought this through, I don't know if she should have met his kid. It's like, and then on the other side of it, I get too that like you both would want to see how she is with kids, and his kid in particular, if you really want to think about it, like for Jordan's sake, he almost needs her to meet Luca so he can make a decision too, about whether he wants her to come be a part of his life. But I was impressed she didn't go down the aisle, because apparently Luca was going to be at the wedding. And can you imagine? Like, holy fuck. So I am glad that she was like, no, doing this now. Yeah. And she took on a lot of the heat for it. But yeah, no, I found her pretty high strung, and I found her like kind of like, I don't blame her about like wanting to go travel and so forth, but why come to the show and find someone that doesn't, like if you do, find the other guy who's rich and wants to go with you to do that, but don't like do the opposite of that thing. Like, I don't know. That just sort of seems counterintuitive from jump, which was Jordan's point too. And I also think her being like, he's so funny in the pod is like, right, because y'all were dating and he wasn't a parent for a minute. He was like an adult again, or even a kid. It's like, when was the last time he didn't have a kid? I'm not sure how old he was, but probably not that old. So like, that's where he reverted to that age and could be more playful and such. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Him not telling her about his sleeves, I think was actually that was a choice.
I didn't like that. When he was like, I have a few, I was like, that's not cool. Like that's really, that was the first sign.
And we wouldn't like it if it was about other stuff. We'd get mad,
Yeah.
if it was about other stuff. Like if you lied about your race, which obviously it's totally different. That's way worse. But like, you know what I'm saying? Like there's other things that we wouldn't allow that. So like, it's just, he was just on the cusp. Like it was just maybe okay because it was tattoos, and yet it was just bad enough to me. Like I feel like that's your appearance, and like just don't say anything about it or something. I don't know. Be like, I want you to be surprised or something,
Instead of lying. Yeah, I agree. I thought that was really weird. I think he won her over because the other guy, I forget his name, but he even said it. He was like, he was weird. First off, he had some weird stuff going on. They definitely wouldn't have worked. And she recognized that. Like he was kind of playing games and testing her. And then he pulled away, and then Jordan was like, oh, I didn't realize you were dating anyone else, but that's good to know. I'm sorry, I assumed. Was kind of sweet about it and like took it in stride. And that, I think that's like she was thinking with her emotions, because she was like, oh, this is so nice compared to that. And that's what I've dated before. But yeah, I don't think she thought about lifestyle differences at all. And they were significant, unfortunately.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you haven't thought through like what it would be like to be a mom, don't do that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I think the fact she was like, like, but like, no, I don't think this is the place and time under the severity of the circumstances, like to then play with being a stepmom. It's a big deal. It's a big deal to suddenly be a parent. And he clearly gets along well with the mother. So like you're entering a whole system, and it's just like, that's a lot to take on if you don't know for sure if you even want to be a parent,
She was really trying to insert herself in the system in like a big way. And I think Jordan was trying his best to be like, slow your roll a little bit, but do it in like a polite way. And I don't think she understood how her behavior was off-putting. I did like her in some ways. I feel like I almost thought she might be a liberal, but I guess she's not. Not that I can't like conservatives. I know and love plenty of conservatives. But I don't know. She just had like such boss woman energy, but I guess that can go either way. But Jordan, I found him kind of sweet, except when he was with the men and I saw him do like some big dog energy. Like he was clearly all in on her, at least at the beginning. And then he was like, I'm not sure. I'm going to really have to think about that. I'm like, you're just trying to, and like the way he would laugh at what's his face's mean jokes. I actually understood how she found him like off putting. And I think that's interesting too. Like maybe people have already and will more start gaming the show the way they do like The Bachelor, because there's multiple points of tests that you have to pass. Like when you first see each other, you have to seem elated. Then the group dynamic comes in, and that always brings about conflict. And then, you move in together, and then you have the big party, and that's where the couples come. And so I feel like, I wonder if people are going to game the show better than, I know they already do, but I wonder if it's going to keep elevating.
I bet. Yeah, like where's the next book for like how to win the Love is Blind? Because then the next test too is like your families, meeting the families, you meeting theirs and them meeting yours, which also have to go well. And then it's like the reunion too, because the reunion honestly is sometimes the best episode of the season. So like all of the, and then also obviously walking down the aisle and like having a big stand, like grandstanding at the end of the aisle, or like having a big breakup, or getting married. Because if you're the only couple that gets married, that's also a huge point. You're also likely to gain a lot of fame from that. I mean, the main thing is like none of these folks got very good social media followings out of this. Like it's kind of going down in terms of that, but everybody's still talking about the season. So
yeah,
successful in terms of that.
They weren't the most likable cast, were they?
No, I had a hard time with every single one of them, but I also like literally every single one of them. I had some feedback, but I did really like Madison. I really liked B. I didn't like the scenario she was in, but I really liked her. And so I think there were a couple people I could root for, and I sort of like Sparkle Meg. I get why you liked her. In some settings, I was like, that's fine. Like, she seems like fun to hang, like party with, whoop it up. But yeah. The girls seemed like fun as a group. Like, I would hang out with that group of girls for sure.
I agree. They were weird. I was like, ugh. Like, yeah, their vibe was really strange together. It made me nervous. Yeah, I agree. The women had a nice vibe together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think there could be more than one repressed gay guy in the group. That may be why, that's possible. Yeah.
I like that take.
Definitely possible. I was telling, this is not related to that comment at all. This is about something else, but I was telling Sean my husband, when we were first watching the first couple episodes, I was like, she's going to hate Jordan. Like, she should not choose him. She's not going to like him. She's going to get the ick quickly and it's going to go downhill. And then as soon as they were at the bar with everybody in Mexico or Cabo or whatever, that's Mexico, wherever they were for their honeymoons, and I was like, oh, she got the ick. I was like, I think it did. It changed everything. But I was impressed with her being like, stop, you're annoying me. And he literally was like, what? Tell me what? I'll stop. Like, I was like, well, good for him. I'm like, while drinking, was able to be like, tell me I'm done. Like,
yeah. It's clear that he's had more relationship experience than a lot of the people, and is like, has traits of a good boyfriend, maybe just not the right boyfriend for Sparkle Megan.
Yeah. And I think this kid's at the wrong age right now. I think he needs to like keep just focusing on parenting and, doing work and feeling confident in himself. And then he can come back to the idea of dating. I think it's just a sensitive, critical age right now.
Yeah. He's not a horrible looking guy. I bet he'll get someone after this show. But to your point, maybe it's not a good time for that.
Yeah. Well, just think about how he is when he gets home from work. Like, what does he have? Where can he be playful within the week? So unless he has somebody else who's down with that specific schedule of like, we go to work, we come home like bummed out for a while, we like have fun for an hour and then we go to bed. Like, if someone has that kind of a schedule and they can align with him on that, that's great. But otherwise, it's okay that that's not really like conducive to a romantic relationship yet, because he has plenty of time. He can revisit that in a year or two, and the kid has a little bit more like self autonomy.
Oh
yeah.
Well, we did that. Woo-woo! Go team. I love a good deep dive. That was fun.
I know, that is fun. I'm glad we'll do that more. Thanks. So come back, friends. And in the meantime, you can check us out on social medias or on Patreon. On Patreon, it's patreon.com/realitytest, capital RT. You can do @realitytest in our search bar, though, once you go to patreon.com. You can also find us on YouTube, TikTok, and Facebook, FaceTime, and Facebook @realitytestpod. Or if you add a cast at the end of that, you'll find us on Instagram. But we also are at our individual ones at Dr. Ray Pods and Dr. K Pods for me on Instagram only. You can also find me on at dr.realitytv, though, on TikTok. And then last but not least, we're on email. realitycheckpodding @gmail.com.
Yes. And to Dr. Kay's point, if you do FaceTime us, or I'm sorry, if you join our Patreon, then we'll FaceTime you. We'll FaceTime the first 5 new members for 5 minutes. Yeah, why not? We'll keep the 5 thing going. Yeah.
Get in there.
Yeah.
You at least can get the audio released early if you join us as a free member too. Fucking free, fully free. Get your episodes the night before, and we usually release them. And then also if you just pay $5 a month, just a measly $5 a month, then you can also get our full video episodes and other video content. I have a fun behind the scenes video to put out soon that I will show you first, obviously, Dr. Ray, and then release it. So yeah, check it out. Come hang out on there.
And yes, don't forget to rate, review, subscribe, and tell all your friends. And your financial support means the world if you can. If you can't, keep hanging out with us.
Hey, glad you're here. And hi, friends, that you have come because you were told about it. And tell your friends.
Mm-hmm.
And we will see you all next session.
Bye. Bye.